Okay, good morning. Thank you all for joining me here and there. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning in all of the ways that we get to do that now. So this week I get the pleasure of talking about prayer. It's something that's had a profound impact on my life for quite a few years now, and just gonna so I'd like to start today by I'm gonna end up reading a lot. I was doing a little bit of prep work for today, which is a little bit different from my usual approach, but Linda gave me this pamphlet that's called The Comfort of Prayer, and I was looking through it for some inspiration, and as I went, I started taking some notes, and my notes started to become just, verbatim, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll just read some passages, and then we hopefully be able to relate a little bit of what they've kind of meant to me. So I'm going to start with this from page 40 of this booklet. This is just talking about prayer in general. It says, prayer is for anyone and everyone. It is a natural inclination of the child or the adult. It's not a strange, fanatical, or emotional approach to a problem, but a quiet, Christ-like attitude that looks for the good in everything and everyone. It is an attitude of heart and mind that knows there is a good outworking for every challenge. And that just really spoke to me, because I've gone through periods in my life where from childhood through adulthood, where I had a strong faith and prayed often, and then often life would get good and I would forget to pray, and things would happen that I didn't agree with, and I spent a few years wondering about the existence of a higher power, of a God, of a good being, and so this just reminds me that when I remember and acknowledge today the importance of prayer in my life, that it's not it's something that we get to share now. It's something that we have in common if we choose to, and I have the privilege of choosing to today. There's, of course, everybody probably is aware at this point that there's many different ways to pray. There are many different prayers. There are formal prayers. There are many examples of prayer in the Bible. There are as many different prayer traditions as there are groups of people or even people in this world. And but I kind of want to focus a little bit on affirmative prayer, because that's what that's kind of the type of prayer that we like to do at Unity, and I've definitely come to love it and love the place that it has in my own practice. So basically, the core of affirmative prayer, in our teachings is tied to the basic tenets, right? God is good. Therefore, we exist in a universe that's good, and we are a part of that, and it lives within us and is all around us and all existing in everyone we know. And affirmative prayer is acknowledging that. It's confirming the goodness of the universe and of ourselves and of our fellows, rather than being a supplication, or a, rather than needing to ask, some external source to give me, what I need. It's me acknowledging that I have what I need, that is being given freely, in every moment, in every connection, in every action, of myself and of the other people that belong to this universe. And I've got in my notes here that I want to read this. Bear with me. So this is from page 12 in this same Comfort of Prayer, and it talks about the kind of the state of being that we could get, bring ourselves into through this, through this method of, using affirmative prayer in our lives. And it's talking about connecting with, with that Christ presence within ourselves. So this is actually originally from Myrtle Fillmore in How to Let God Help You. And she says, when you truly go to the Christ within yourself, instead of to your own thoughts, you will receive whatever you need. When you truly drop thoughts of conditions and personal desires and personalities and center your attention in God and think God only, and give thanks that God only is expressing and manifesting everywhere in His universe, then you will speedily dissolve the old error beliefs and their counterparts in the manifest world. Let me say it again. Stop trying so hard to know that everything is as it should be. Just rest your mind and heart and emotions and body in God-mind. When you're truly thinking God, you cannot struggle to do anything. It's when you're thinking of self that you struggle and see nothing but darkness and grief and failure. No one, not even God, can change you or your circumstances so long as you insist upon looking at and thinking of and worrying about yourself and your problems. Your problems do not exist except in your own mind. I wanted to read that because it reminds me and reinforces one of the core truths of my spiritual experience, which is that this is all an inside job. That all of my problems and all of the solutions to those problems tend to be related to my willingness to look at things or be willing to experience them through that God consciousness or through that that connected consciousness, rather than through the lens of my own intellectual or ego-driven perception. And I wrote it down because it's something that I have to be reminded of constantly, because the old thought patterns are very habitual, and I often have the privilege of spending, who knows how long it takes, a few minutes or a few days, kind of going through the old patterns of I need to fix this. I need to understand how this is going to be resolved. I need to see how this works in order to accept it before I can finally kind of push through to that space of acceptance, through my Christ consciousness, through my connected self. And the good news is it works every time. As soon as I can get there. And I think more good news is that we get better at it with practice, right? The more I allow myself to be in that place and see what it does in my life, the easier it is to kind of remember that next time. And there was a little sorry, my brain froze up. I'm back now. There's a little bit in this, so this is the nurture pamphlet that Michael was talking about that we're using. I think we're for the last couple of months and this month, I was talking about why affirmative prayer works and kind of the spiritual principles behind why it's so effective for use in our daily lives. And I don't think it's going to be shocking or surprising, but I don't think we can be reminded too many times that it kind of works because of what we call the law of mind action or the law of attraction. What we think about, we bring about. What we focus on, we bring more of into our life. And so, that's, I think, the core of, why affirmative prayer is such a powerful tool and why it is such a core part of the Unity practice, or at least it is for me. Not only does it kind of reinforce and align me with, kind of our 5 basic tenets, but it also, relies on the laws of the universe. So, a few other things that kind of came out for me was that I felt like I wanted to talk about today is just some different ways, or some different types of prayer, or some different ways that we can use it to enhance and improve our lives along the spiritual path that we're trying to live. So one of the big ones that I think tends to be one of the more common or important parts of my practice is praying for others. There's one thing that one of my favorite parts of the service that we do here at Unity is the community prayer that we do right before the the talk for the day, where we spend a few minutes feeling our connectedness to our friends and loved ones and those in our community. And I like to just keep expanding my bubble, until it encompasses, every soul that I can possibly conceive of in the world, because that's, the more I can feel that connection, the less I'm at the mercy of my own kind of ego and my own selfishness. There's a story that's in this. I'm not going to read the story, but it was a person that was talking about being sick and being in a hospital room and having a friend that was there that was sharing messages and prayers from friends and other people, through social media and other such avenues, and the person telling the story shares about, as each prayer or just good wish kind of came through, she could feel an instant connection with the person that sent it, as if they were sitting in the same room. And I loved that because it really connected with the experience that I have when we do that community prayer. As I sit there and I think about my family and I think about my loved ones and I think about the other people in the community and I start expanding that, I can feel like those people are sitting next to me. I can feel that connection instantly, and that's how I see that Christ consciousness or the Spirit of God working through me and through everyone else, coming back to me. It's through relationships, through through that connectedness. So the other thing that came out was, this is maybe one of the more controversial ideas, but really important to me, is the idea of praying for my so-called enemies, or praying for those who I think have done wrong to me. And there's a couple of things that that kind of brought up for me. First off is that it's straight out of the Sermon on the Mount. I'll just read a short. This is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 44. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. And what that does, or what I've found that does, is it just takes the sting out of whatever wrongs I've perceived, or whatever like it's it could be anything or anybody from maybe it's my cat coming in the door and trying to trip me on the way to the food dish, which is already full of food, and or it could be the person that just was tailgating me, and so I pull off, and then they zoom past, and they're maybe using some sign language out the window or whatever. It takes away their ability to affect my my peace and my ability to go on about my day in a loving way and to express that love. I've written down here, I'm not sure where it came from, but it's love is all forgiving. And now I'd like to read. This is from page 20 in the Comfort of Prayer. Okay. I think I must have written down the wrong page, but but basically, I remember the idea that I wanted to pull out of that was that when we practice loving and forgiving, those who we've perceived to have wronged us, we can take that a step further. Praying for them, and there was an example in here that was, kind of just saying, I wish this person every good thing that I would want for myself. All of the abundance and love and connection, safety, that I would want for me, I wish it for them. And the hidden benefit, or like what that does is that it gives me practice in unconditional love, and this, well, I think that's what I wanted to remember by is that at some point the person who I perceive to be my enemy, or who has harmed me, or who I think has wronged me, turns out to be myself. And if I've practiced giving forgiveness and praying for people who I think have wronged me, then when that person turns out to be me, then I already kind of know how to deal with that. And my practice in forgiving others makes it easier then to allow me to forgive myself. So a couple of other, just kind of ways that we like to pray, or topics, I guess, for prayer. There's prayers of abundance, and I think there was an example here that I liked. Yeah, so this is from page 38. I am the flow of plenty, from the wellspring of goodness that is divine abundance. I give and receive all that can be helpful, nurturing, comforting, and constructive. In this moment, I celebrate all possibilities that flow from a consciousness of plenty. Good flows to me as good flows from me. And when I read that, and when I prayed it for myself earlier today, I could just feel myself being connected to the earth, and with nature, with the other people living here, with the animal life. It was just something that doesn't come through all the time, but I just loved it. This time of year, I think it's easy to see abundance everywhere. Driving past pumpkin patches and harvesting from our apple tree, and I just returned from visiting family up in the Flathead, and came home with boxes of tomatoes and onions that were generously gifted from my parents' garden. And it's just, I think it's easy this time of year to pray abundance and to see it around us. And I think, what we can do, and what I like to do is just grab that feeling or that moment, and kind of make a little snapshot or whatever, and pack it away, because when February is here and everything is, the snow has gotten gray and crusty and isn't magical anymore, and we're just trying to drive through it and make it through a few more weeks until spring is hopefully coming, and everything is muddy, then I can the things aren't, people aren't doing things the way that I need them to do. I can kind of bring back that snapshot and be like, hey, remember when you had boxes of tomatoes and onions, and remember the pumpkin patches, and that same abundance that is easy to see right now is still here. It's still within us and flows through us, as long as we kind of get the old mind out of the way and let it happen. And then the other one that I think I'm getting close to the end of time, so I'll try and speed it up here. But there's a prayer of gratitude that I really enjoyed. I could do a whole talk on the importance of gratitude in my life, but But like I said, not going to be able to do it today. But yeah. So this is from page 45. I bless the world with thoughts of unity and harmony. From an inner wellspring of gratitude, I radiate the light of harmonizing, unifying love in every direction, encompassing every person and nation and every form of life. I am the thought, word, and action of divine love in this moment of prayer. I don't know that I have a lot to say that it doesn't kind of say for me. Is that we have the privilege of being spirits that are inhabiting human bodies and connecting with each other on this planet. And when I remember that, everything else kind of pales in comparison. This life and this existence and the fact that we have the ability to love each other and to experience that and to connect and receive the experience of our Christ selves flowing out and flowing back from those that we love. Everything else starts to seem a little bit trivial, I guess. And then I'm going to finish up with just a little bit on this. This is on page 41. And this is just, I like this because it reminds me that there's no right way or wrong way to prayer. We've talked about affirmative prayer and how we like it, and I use it, I love it. But this says, true prayer is an inner attitude. Prayer makes no demands concerning time or location. Right where you are, at your place of business, on the street, in the home, you can pray and pray effectively. The presence of God is everywhere at all times. And that's a fraction of what I'd like to share with you today about prayer. I hope that you've gotten a fraction out of me talking to you today about it, of what I got about from the readings and from my own prayer and meditation, getting ready for this. So, thank you. So, as such, I kind of thought that maybe for the meditation, we would kind of just, practice a short, a short affirmative prayer. So we'll start by just letting ourselves become still. Breathe in and out, slowly and intentionally, and let ourselves become calm. Breathe out our reluctance and our resistance, our concerns about what we're doing next, where we're going from here. Breathe in, calming peace. Breathe into your heart space. Now we're each going to repeat an affirmative statement 3 times. If you have something that you'd like to pray, I'd like to invite you to do that. If not, I'll just invite you to pray with me a simple affirmation that I am God's love. So now the first time we'll pray, I am God's love. And the second time, I am God's love. And a third time, I am God's love. As we continue breathing, we'll just let those words of our positive affirmation settle in, accepting them as the truth of this world, of this universe, of ourselves, of each other. Thank you, thank you. Amen.